Roma, it's so good to see you. Thanks for joining me today.
Oh, Billy, it's always good to see you. How are you?
I am doing well, and you've got a lot, as always. Every time we talk, you have a lot going on. There's a new film we're going to talk about, and there's also a devotional, which is so exciting. It's called Be an Angel. Love that title. The subtitle is Devotions to Inspire and Encourage Love and Light Along the Way. The book comes out February 21st. Talk a little bit about this. Why a devotion right now?
Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. It's like, Billy, when you work hard on anything, there's that season of sowing and planting and digging and preparing, and then there's a season of harvest. So it's time for Be an Angel to come out. I just really felt that, every time you turn the news on, there's discouragement and we see so much division, not just in our country, but in our world. And I just see so much unkindness and people, I go on social media. I always try to use my social media as a means to share love and light, but I'm always so shocked, maybe naive, that when I go in there and there's just so much hatefulness that exists in our world. And I really wanted to write a book that took a strong stance on goodness and kindness, and not just saying kind words, but actually taking an action to create a kindness for another, to pay it forward, really. And I know in my own life that nothing happens unless I can help myself establish a habit. And, I have a trainer, so I have the habit of going to the gym. If I didn't have the trainer and I didn't go to the gym, I'm sure I wouldn't work out. I'd say, I'll do it later, or maybe I'll do it later, maybe I'll do it tomorrow. And I kind of feel the same way just about my prayer time, the time I take. Usually for me, it's morning time. And I just wanted to write a devotional where I could ask the reader or the listener, because I also did an audio book version of the book, to take this journey with me and to, there's just simple steps of anecdotes and reflections, and then a simple step at the end of each chapter with a Be an Angel suggestion of somehow maybe you can take and apply the story that I've written about to your own life. And is there something, one thing that you could do today to take an action, to show a kindness, to be loving to someone in your life?
I love everything you just said. And it's so hard because the world, there's so much negativity. And if people are not following you on social media, they should go out and do that right now because you post the most encouraging, uplifting content consistently. Your morning devotions, the images of the sun over the water. I mean, every day I can count, you pop up in my feed and I can count on encouraging content coming my
Thank
way,
you,
which I
Billy.
love.
I really love it for that reason. I mean, and I always have been known to just take a picture or a video of a sunrise or a sunset, and then I like to find an inspiring piece of scripture maybe that I can attach to that and send out. And then, as you know, I also spearhead a team, and we call ourselves the Light Workers, and we create these video devotionals as well that go up on the Light Workers site as well as my personal site. But so really, you could say that Be an Angel is a kind of culmination of a lot of those things. But it's still, my work, the legacy of my work for the last 25, 30 years that I have been in this space, kind of in a faith and a family space, where my interest is in telling stories of hope, stories that uplift, stories that connect. And whether it was on my TV show, Touched by an Angel, or whether it's in my new book, Be an Angel, the message remains the same. There is a God, He loves us, He wants to be part of our lives, and that we, through, you know, acts of kindness, we can be like earth angels, and each in our own small way, through a daily practice, through reading a daily devotional, perhaps we can change the world together, one small step at a time.
One of the things that I really love about this devotional is you start every entry with either a scripture or with a quote from somebody notable. How did you go through, and because obviously there's so much to choose from, how did you pick those quotes and those scriptures?
Well, honestly, it really depended on the theme of the anecdote that I was sharing and what might be pertinent to that particular anecdote. But back in the day, I don't know, Billy, if you remember, probably quite a bit older than you are, but back in the day, we used to have these. They encouraged us to have these vision boards, which were just things that you loved. And, I would, with push pins, I would stick quotes. I'd have scripture. I'd have pictures of places that I loved or people that I loved. And the board in its entirety kind of gave me a good feeling. It was like reminders of things to do, reminders of, but I have been a quote person my whole life. I'm the person that in a group gathering will remember something, say, Maya Angelou said, and she's one of my favorites and actually has one of my favorite quotes of all time, which is that people are going to forget what you said and people are going to forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel.
Mm.
And that kind of sums up, a lot of the work that I'm doing. It's like when you finish this book, I hope you're left with a good feeling, and I hope that that it encourages you to reach out into someone else's life and be an angel. Before we started the interview, my husband, who's running around somewhere doing a million other things in our home here, I'm speaking to you from our home, and he said that the subtitle should be an angel to your husband.
I'm sure he would love that,
I
right?
thought, oh, I didn't think of that for some reason, but I thought I would throw it out there. And indeed, the kindness that I'm suggesting you extend to other people probably should be extended to one's
Yeah,
husband, one's wife. I mean, after all, we've been told that charity begins at home.
I
But
love that.
just a reminder too, Billy. Yes, there is bad news everywhere as we started our conversation, but you and I both know from the work that we do that we meet and we are encouraged by good people every day. And I think I always say this, but we need to make more noise for the good guys and be reminded and be comforted that there is so much of goodness in the world. It just doesn't make the headlines. But I think
Absolutely.
each of us in our daily practice, creating these daily habits to anchor, for me, I anchor in prayer, usually in the morning. My day starts with a prayer of gratitude because no matter what I think is going wrong or no matter whatever problems I think I might have, I still have so much to be grateful for. And I find when I just come into prayer, into that communion with the Lord, and I just say, God, thank you for this day, and whatever the day may bring me, strengthen me, prepare me, and let me be an angel. That everybody would know that I love you, God, because of the way I live my life. And I'm not perfect, I'm mess up just like everybody else, but each day brings an opportunity for us to start again. And I find that spending that journey with a devotional just helps you to anchor to that, to create that habit, that even when you get through the book, that the habit remains, and that will be beneficial, throughout your life,
Yeah.
and yeah.
Well, I was going to add, I think it's interesting because in the negativity in our culture, we're sort of incentivized to fight with people. That's one of the problems with social media, right? Go back
Yeah.
and forth and argue. But yet Jesus calls us to love, not just love others. I think the most convicting parts of scripture are love and clothe and feed your enemy, right? I mean, that is that kind of love of treating everybody, even those who despise you or dislike you, loving them. That is a really big challenge for people. And I think just being able to be an angel, right? Going through this book, looking at that content and focusing on prayer for those people as well. And not just our friends and our loved ones, but really everybody. I don't know if you want to reflect on that at all, but
Yeah, well, I
it's so
mean, I
important.
know I speak a little bit in the book about the need to forgive, and we all know when we've been hurt or something awful has happened to us, that's easier said than done. We might all appreciate that we're supposed to forgive, but how do you actually forgive if your heart is if you're still holding on to anger? It's easy to say, just put it down, but I believe everything starts with intention. And if you at the very least begin your morning prayer to say, I want to be able to forgive.
Mm.
I'm I don't know how to. God, could you help me? I think just the setting it up, taking it in prayer and just asking for help sets the intention of the healing that your heart will need. Because with the grace of God we can do anything, and when the heart opens, miracles are possible. But yeah, all of these things can be difficult, and nobody said it would be easy. But the person that gets set free when you're finally able to move into forgiveness, you think it's the other person you're going to forgive, and yet the true reminder always is that it's we ourselves who get set free.
It's
Um,
so true. That is
mhm.
so true. And it's incredibly important. And I love what you said about going to God and asking him for the ability to do that, because we struggle with it. I mean, there are some very difficult things that happen and it's hard to forgive. And sometimes we need God to help us to open our
Yeah,
hearts to be
we
able
absolutely
to
do.
do
We
that.
absolutely do. And I also find, just because I'm on my phone as much as the next person. I mean, I was on a trip recently and I was at the airport sitting waiting to get on the plane. And honestly, Billy, not one person was looking up. Every single person in the waiting area had their heads down and they're all just scrolling. So whether we like it or whether we don't, whether we have judgment of it or whether we don't, it's just the truth of what's going on in the world. But I know that we have to take a moment and put them down. It's to take a moment in the quiet, without all the stimulus, without the noise. My favorite scripture, be still and know that I am God. And that means just at least for a minute, put your phone down, at least for a minute, turn the TV off, at least for a minute, because it's only then really can you hear the small, still, quiet voice inside of yourself as well. And we know so much more than we think we know. And we're in communion so much more than we even realize we are. We're just so noisy, I think sometimes we just can't hear. And so a devotional is also just a way to encourage someone, here's just take a moment before you start your day, like a little reset. Read the reflection, read the scripture, maybe take heed of the suggestion of an action you can participate with in your day, and bring a little peace into the noisy, often crazy world that we're all living in.
And we could all use a lot of peace. I love that. Now you've got a film coming too. So the book comes in February. You have a film coming not long after, I believe in April,
Yes,
On a
the
Wing and a
film is coming
Prayer.
onto Amazon Prime April 7th. It will launch globally, and we're so thrilled. This was a movie that I produced under my Lightworkers banner with MGM at the end of 2021. The end of 21. So last year we edited, and this year we're ready to launch it, and it'll be on Prime April 7th. It's called On a Wing and a Prayer. It stars Dennis Quaid, Heather Graham, and Jesse Metcalf, and it's based on an amazing true story of a family that get on a private plane after the funeral of one of Dennis Quaid's brother, and as they're hurtling through the air at 33,000 feet, tragically, the pilot of the plane dies, and now what? And the story is really about the now what, the horror, the terror. It's like a thriller in the skies. The family are a family of faith, and they do pray. Although I hasten to add, I would imagine that there wouldn't be an atheist in a foxhole, in that situation.
Yeah.
Regardless of what you believe, you might be uttering a prayer or two. It's a marvelous, dramatic, exciting story. Um, I won't give away the ending, but
I can't wait. I mean, as you're describing it, like it's terrifying, the thought of it, right? We've all been
yeah,
in an
it's
airplane.
terrifying, and
That
it's
is
so great, and
terrifying.
our actors are so great in it. And as you know, I've been spending much more time this side of the camera. I've been really enjoying my life as a producer, having acted for so many years, and my life as an author. So, these are, I always think if you're an artistic person, your talent might manifest itself in different ways. And, I enjoy the solitude of writing. I usually get up and do my writing in the early morning. I've, of course, loved a great career on camera as an actor. But now really, I think the next chapter of my life will see me doing much more production and finding great stories and bringing them to life so that they can touch people's hearts and remind each of us that we belong to each other. And, and with Be an Angel, that we can remind each of us to be kind to each other, particularly our husbands.
What I love about interviewing you is you always help bring me into the next question. And my last question for you, in light of everything you just said, and I had this written down before. I don't know if I've asked you this before in our many interviews and discussions, but in light of the amazing career that you've had and continue to have and the different iterations and what you just described, what do you want your legacy to be at the end of the day?
Gosh, I suppose really that I use my life and the talents that I was given uh, to glorify God and to remind people, that we are each special children, and as children, that connects us not just to each other, but to the Lord as well. So that I use my gifts to for the kingdom. Yeah.
You've definitely have done that. Roma, thank you so much. As always, the book is Be an Angel. It comes out February 21st. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, Billy. And I just encourage your listeners that it makes a beautiful gift for someone who has been an angel in your life. So it's just very exciting as an author to finally have. It's like not quite having a child, but something that I've worked on
It's a
lovingly. And
similar
I
process, right? The hard work and the
finally get
dedication, and
to
yes,
share
and
it.
then it's
And
there,
I
and you,
finally get to share it with you. And
yeah.
you're my very first interview, Billy. I always appreciate you. You've been so supportive of myself and my husband, Mark, over the years. And it means so much to me. So thank you.
Well, thank you. Thanks for coming on, and I can't wait to have you back again soon.
All right, Billy, take care.